What's up team, Killchain here. So you're searching around for a guild, whatever reason that may be. If you're chasing a somewhat semi-hardcore approach to raiding and beyond, here's 5 things to elevate your chances of passing your next guild trial. First and foremost, the obvious one, research the fights. If you ever act like you know a fight and you don't, it'll show up really damn quickly. Get an idea as best you can of the mechanics of the particular fight prior to your raid day. That being said though, if you didn't think you were going to get in on that fight or you haven't had a chance to, be up and upfront and honest, and typically guilds are not going to grill you if you're truthful in that capacity. And also ask for clarification on certain specifics of how an encounter goes for that guild. Different guilds will handle mechanics slightly differently, and it's always nice to, get some clarification. For example, on Sarkoth, you could clarify, does the guild sort of have a bit more of a loose arrangement for the bombs, or do you have very specific bomb runners? Second, form a pre-raid preparation ritual. This sounds dumb, but you have no idea how many times you'll forget something or not realize you're low on a certain consumable, be in the wrong spec, whatever it may be. So check your DPS potions, your files, your food, your weapon runes, your health pots, your augment runes, enchants, gems, ominous chromatic essence attunement, your trinkets and rings that are commonly swapped out, embellishment pieces if you swap them for Mythic Plus, your durability, carry auto hammers. Check your talent loadout, swap to AoE for trash, that kind of thing. Make sure your single target and all the discrepancies are changed. Create this little bit of a checklist, mental or literally a physical checklist, whatever works for you. But get this ritual of just a pre-raid kind of before I fly down there, let me just go through, bam, 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 everything's all set, we're good to go. And that'll definitely help you out, kind of get you in the right mental frame ready, knowing that, your little checklist is ticked off. Definitely well worth doing. 3, learn to be comfortable on comms. This isn't going to be doable for everyone. I understand there's a small fraction of people that will never be able to tackle this particular hurdle, but for most of us, steer into the opportunity. Join the raid channel early, chat in comms outside of raids. It'll help put a voice to your name and build that sense of familiarity and rapport with more than just the, hey, you're that new rogue guy, but rather than an actual member of the community. Teams are far more likely to pass a trial that is communicative, not only because of that sense of friendship and camaraderie, but literally they know they can rely on you to answer calls whenever they're made and actually communicate effectively in a raid environment. Nothing's worse than having that one guy that died and someone might be like, hey, how did you die on this particular mechanic? And then you hear the cricket noises. Number 4, review your logs, or at least learn to do so at a basic level. Guilds will typically always public log, otherwise you might have certain individuals that will private log and post it in the guild Discord for you, or you can learn to log yourself as well. While it may seem daunting at first, it'll be a great idea to start comparing yourself to either another player of your spec in the guild that's performing well, or even just use the public log to check out similar high ranking people of your spec. And make sure you keep the fight duration quite similar, especially when it comes to things like number of casts. There's no point comparing a 3-minute fight to a 5-minute fight. That being said, the main areas I would consider getting used to checking up on the regular is buff uptime. So for example, as a Fury Warrior, if another warrior's got way better recklessness uptime than I do, that warrants investigation to figure out where I could improve to try and get a better uptime on that. Number of casts as well. You could be a Frost DK. Another DK is performing a lot better in the DPS front for you than yourself. And you notice that they're doing significantly more obliterates than you are. So cool. That warrants some investigation. Figure out why and how they've got better casts. It could just be a rotational change that you need to make. But at least starts getting the ball rolling in terms of pointing you in the right direction. The last area of, getting used to some very basic log review I would do is for damage taken. Now, this is a good indicator for all that avoidable damage and how much impact you're providing to that, or unnecessary healing for the healers, that kind of stuff, all plays its part when it comes to, raiding. To assist with that, you also have third-party websites like your WoW and WoW Analyzer. Do keep in mind, though, WoW Analyzer seems to have fallen out of favor a little bit lately. They don't seem to update the specs in any sort of decent length of time, and there's pop-up warnings saying it's not being reflected for 10.1.5, and we've actually had 10.1.5 out for a while now. But that being said, copy and paste your Warcraft log URLs directly into Whitefest and WoW Analyzer. That will at least give you some better laid out feedback that doesn't require as much digging through and sort of thought process behind it. Just sort of tells you what to improve, right? So that is an option as well to help quickly navigate the quick, easy areas that you can start fixing in that regard. Also, proactively ask for feedback, especially when armed with some basic information already. It'll speak volumes to your credibility if you can actively approach an officer and say, hey, I think I did really well with X, Y, Z, but I noticed, I could improve on ABC areas. Is there anything else you can notice that I should be working on? Where am I sitting? Anything that stands out, let me know. And it gives you that proactive look. And that's really going to, check some boxes for raid leaders and officers alike. And lastly, number 5, volunteer for mechanics. Do your best to get comfortable with and steer into learning how to deal with new mechanics, as it will help teach you more about your class, what abilities you have in your toolkit that can help mitigate the impact of certain raid mechanics, as well as that actually shows your guild you aren't afraid to put your hand up and will start really cementing your position in the guild as someone that they know they can rely on, especially where your class typically excels at countering a certain mechanic. For example, if you know a particular mechanic coming up can be nullified with an invuln, you can spec into Ice Block as an example for a mage, so you can use the invulnerability to literally negate the whole mechanic. Likewise, you've got Paladin Bubble popping the bombs on Scun as an example. So with all those 5, these should definitely pitch you in a good spot for, I guess, putting your best foot forward for a trial. If you have any success or failure stories, let me know. If there's any other tips you would recommend, leave it down in the comments. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.